Good afternoon. My name is Kay Jutt. I'm from East Central Indiana, and today I'm presenting a tatting lesson on the tea cookie. The tea cookie includes some beading techniques as well as the treble tat stitch. So what I'm going to do first is talk you through the pattern, and then we'll get started. So the first thing we're going to do is start with this ring down here on the bottom. For shuttle tatters, you're going to put 4 beads in your loop to begin with. The ring is 4 double stitches. We make a picot that's about 1/4 of an inch long. We put a bead on that picot and join it right back into the ring. 4 double stitches, a picot with the 4 beads that you put in the loop of your left hand. 6 double stitches, 1/4 of an inch wide picot for beading later. 3 double stitches, and we close. Then we have a short chain of 2 double stitches. Then the second ring is 3 double stitches. We join to the first ring after putting a bead on the joining picot. 3 double stitches. Oh, and we start out this second ring with 10 beads in our loop hand. So 3 double stitches, we bring in one of the beads from our loop hand. 3 double stitches. This is a large picot with 8 beads. And then 3 double stitches, 1 picot. 3 double stitches, 1/4 of an inch picot so that we can put a bead on it later. 3 double stitches and close. Then we do a small chain of 2 double stitches. Then the third ring is 3 double stitches. We join it to this, and the third ring also includes 4 beads in your loop hand before you start. 3 double stitches, we join it to the ring number 2, putting a picot on that, or putting a bead on the picot before we join. 6 double stitches, a picot with 4 beads, 4 double stitches, 1 picot, 1/4 of an inch long, so that we can put a bead on it and then join it right back into the ring. 4 double stitches and close. Then we do a chain of 2 double stitches, a small joining picot, 2 double stitches, which I forgot to put on your graph, sorry about that. And then we do 9 treble tat stitches, alternating with 1 double stitch. When we put an extra double stitch in between the treble tat stitches, it gives it this little scallop appearance to the outside edge. We end up with 2 double stitches, a small joining picot, 2 double stitches, and then ring number 4 is the same as ring number 1. We begin with no beads in our loop, 4 double stitches. We make a long picot to put a bead on, and then we join it back into the ring. 4 double stitches. We join to the picot that had 4 double stitches, or 4 beads on ring 3. 6 double stitches, a 1/4 of an inch picot so we can add a bead to it later. 3 double stitches and close, and then the whole thing repeats. So let me get started, and I'll show you how to do it. So with 4 beads in the loop, we loop the thread around our left hand and begin with 4 double stitches. We make a 1/4 of an inch space picot, and if you want, you can use a picot gauge. to measure that. And then I'm going to load a picot from the table, or load a bead from the table onto that picot. Using a size 16 crochet hook. Well, come on here. And then I still have enough space in the picot that I can join it back into my ring. This way you learn how to add beads if you've not loaded enough beads on your loop hand. You're still safe because you can add a bead just by making a picot, adding the bead and joining it back into the ring. The next is 4 double stitches, so I'll finish with the second half, followed by 3 full double stitches. And then we want the 4 beads that we put on our loop hand to begin with. This picot is going to have another ring that comes in to join it, so we want to make a little easement in there so that they're not super tight and there's enough room for us to get our join together. There's 6 double stitches. We're going to add a 1/4 of an inch picot space. Finish up with 3 double stitches. I like to post my shuttle when I close, and we'll close this ring. There we go. We reverse the work and do a chain of 2 double stitches. Reverse the work again, and then we want to put 10 beads in our loop. So the problem with bead tatting, the beads are never in the spot where you need them. So you're constantly having to wind and unwind. Let's see how many I have here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more bead. Okay. We'll start with 3 double stitches. I want to put a bead on this picot before I join into it. After I do my joints, I just do the second half stitch, and then I do 2 more double stitches for a total of 3. I want to bring 1 bead from the back of my hand, and then we'll do 3 double stitches. The bead is taking the place of a picot. And when we add beads, we want to make sure that the double stitches actually come side by side underneath that bead. So sometimes if you're working with larger beads, you'll have to leave a little extra thread space in the picot that's holding that bead. We want 8 of the beads from the back of our hand. And we have 4 rings that are going to join into this picot. So we definitely want to leave a little bit of ease in this picot to make room for those 4 joins or 3 other joins. Bring our last bead around our hand. We're going to leave a 1/4 of an inch picot space. So that we can make room for adding a bead when we join into this ring later on. Close my shuttle before I close. Reverse the work. We'll do a short chain of 2 double stitches. Reverse the work, and we'll do our third ring. We want 4 beads in the thread loop. We begin with 3 double stitches. I'm going to take one of the beads off the table to put on my picot before I join it. Do my second half, and then do 5 more double stitches for a total of 6. And then bring up the 4 double stitches to put in the picot, or bring up the 4 beads to put in my picot. There's 4 double stitches. We want to leave enough ease that we can join into it later on. Okay, I want to leave a 1/4 of an inch picot. And then I'm going to load a bead on that picot and join it back into the ring. I do my second half stitch, and then 3 more double stitches for a total of 4. Post my shuttle and close my ring. So there's our center. Now we're ready to reverse the work again. And we're going to start our chain with the treble tat stitches. So I start with 2 double stitches, a small joining picot, and 2 double stitches. Now to do the treble tat stitch, we need to start with a small joining picot and 1 double stitch. That double stitch after the small joining picot actually becomes part of the treble tat stitch. I reach through with my crochet hook and pull up a bit of the loop thread from my left hand as if I were doing an up join. And then I pull another loop of that thread through the first loop. So here's loop number 2. I put my shuttle through loop number 2, back to front, and I want to add 2 twists to loop number 2 here, and I do that by passing the shuttle between the loop and the core thread, back to front, 1 time and 2 times. That puts 2 twists in this loop. Then we're ready to tighten it down, but before we do that, I like to kind of put my shuttle in that loop and hold it so things don't kink up on me while I'm trying to close the treble tat stitch. Then I follow it up with 1 double stitch because I want to bring the line of the tatting back down towards the core of the back down towards the core thread. Then I'm ready to do 1 more treble tat stitch. I make a small joining picot, followed by 1 double stitch. I reach through the small joining picot with my crochet hook and pull up a loop of the left-hand thread once, twice. This is loop number 2. The shuttle goes through loop number 2, back to front. We put 2 twists in loop number 2 by passing the shuttle between the loop and the core thread. And then I pull down on the loop until I get things tightened up. It kind of helps keep those kinks in line while I'm tightening the stitch. That one looks pretty good. Follow up with a double stitch to bring the line of the tatting back down towards the core. Then our third treble tat stitch. Begin with a small picot and a double stitch. Pull a loop of the left-hand thread through the small joining picot and do it again. Here's loop number 2. Shuttle goes through loop number 2, back to front. We put 2 twists in loop number 2 by passing the shuttle under the loop and on top of the core 2 times. And then I grab the loop and hold it down while I tighten up the stitch. Follow with 1 double stitch. Small joining picot, 1 double stitch. Reach through the small joining picot and pick up a loop of the left-hand thread as if we were doing an up join. Pick up a second loop of thread. Put the shuttle through loop number 2 back to front. Put 2 twists by going underneath the loop and on top of the core thread. And then tighten up the stitch. Follow with 1 double stitch. There's 4 treble tat stitches. 5th one, we make a small joining picot, 1 double stitch. Go through the joining picot and pick up a loop of thread once, and pick up a second loop. Shuttle goes through the second loop back to front, and then we go under the loop and on top of the core thread to put 2 twists in, back to front 2 times. And then I grab that loop with the pick end of my shuttle while I tighten it up with my left hand. Follow with 1 double stitch. Our 6th one. Here's number 7. This is number 8. ring number 9. I finish up this chain with 2 double stitches. Leave a small joining picot and 2 double stitches. And then I'm ready to work on ring number 4. Reverse the work. Now ring number 4 is just like the first one, except we're going to be joining in between our beads here at the end of the ring number 4. So that's how the tea cookie is put together. Hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you're a needle tatter, be sure to watch on the needle tatting video. Bye now.